Here we have another style of question that's fairly typical for the Nat 5 exam, where it brings in several key skills from a couple of key topics that we study throughout the course. Now in this case it's bringing in a bit more algebra work coupled with some straight line. And you can tell it's a straight line because it uses the word gradient. Now remember, gradient, when we talked about straight line in class, means slope of the line. So this question wants us to find the expression for the gradient of the line between 2 points A and B, and we have to give our answer in its simplest form. Now if you look at the points, A, we know the value of it, but the point B, we actually know just the expressions for X and Y. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to find an expression for the gradient, i.e. something written in terms of letters, so that we can then simplify this and see what we can get. Now what we have to do is remember the formula for the gradient. That's got to be our first port of call. So if we remember that m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, that is the formula for the gradient of any straight line, where x1, y1 is one point, x2, y2 is another point on the line itself. What we now have to do is label the 2 points and then figure out what we can do. Now personally for me, I would always label the one with the letters as x2, y2, just to keep them at the start. Obviously if there's 2 points and they both have letters and parts of expressions in them, doesn't matter which way around. But for me in this question, I would label this point as x2, y2, and this point over here, the point A, as x1, y1. And then substitute everything in. So y2 minus y1 gives me 4p squared minus 9 over x2 minus x1, 4p minus 6. So now we have this written as an expression. So great, we could think we could stop there, but it says in its simplest form. If you ever see that phrase, what you need to do is think to yourself, right, I'm going to have to somehow simplify this. And when it's got algebra in it, the first thing you should really think of is factorisation. Now remember the 3 types of factorising we talked about. First is common factor, second is difference of 2 squares, third is trinomial. What you should do is look at both the top and the bottom separately, see if you can factorise them on their own, and then see if there's a way you can factorise or simplify between them. So first one, let's look at the top, 4p squared minus 9. Can I take a common factor? No. Can it be written as a difference of 2 squares? Well, remember, difference of 2 squares is a squared minus b squared. And if we notice, we've got a 4 and a 9, and both of those are square numbers. So the 4p squared minus 9, that can actually be written as 2p all squared, take away 3 squared. So this top one I can write like that and factorise using the difference of 2 squares. So I'd have one bracket that's 2p minus 3, and I'd have another bracket that's 2p plus 3. What I would then do is look at the bottom and see if I could factorise that. So 4p minus 6, is there a common factor? Yes, I could take a common factor of 2 out of both of those. So I get 2 bracket 2p minus 3. Now what I do is I look between the top and the bottom and see if there's something I can factorise. Well, the bracket 2p minus 3 appears on both the top and the bottom, so what I can then do is cancel that bracket out from both. So I can cancel it out from there, cancel it out from there, and then what I'm left with is 2p plus 3 on the top, all over 2. Now a key thing here that I want you to make note of, that is where the biggest error comes in at this point, is you can't look at just the 2p and cancel out the 2. If you're going to cancel out this 2 on the bottom with the top, you have to be able to cancel it out from every single term that is on there. So yes, the 2 can cancel it with the 2 here, but this is a 3 and it doesn't have a factor of 2 at all, so we can't cancel it out from there. So that there, 2p plus 3 over 2, that there's our final answer. When we've got a question like this, look for these key indicators. So things like gradient, when it asks you for an expression and it uses the phrase simplest form, think to factorising, think to cancellation, think to putting it in or out of brackets and seeing what you can do between the two of them. And always remember these sorts of rules when it comes to factorising between brackets and between the top and the bottom of any fraction.